you doing? This is Love Marlene 411, and welcome to today's podcast conversation. You know, over here we talk about trauma healing and all of those things. So, welcome to today's discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about people who verbally abuse people. They say those words. So today's topic is always bringing pain with their words. Do you know people who always bring pain to you by the things that they say, by the things that they do, the way that they make you feel? So, we're going to be talking about 7 reasons why people bring pain with their words. And then we're going to get to the side where we're going to speak from our heart and to say how those things make us feel and how we can stop, block, and heal from some of those things. Okay. So, let's get into it. We're going to talk about 7 things. Okay. The first thing is that people bring pain with their words because of their inner insecurities. And we know that when a person is insecure, what are they going to do? They're going to do things to cause maybe you to feel insecure inside of yourself. So, because of their insecurity, now they want to make you doubt yourself. They want to bring you down with their words because they are not happy inside of themselves. They're very insecure. And we know that when a person is insecure, they're not comfortable, they're not stable, they're not balanced. So, of course, they're going to be imbalanced in the words that come out of their mouth. And we're going to get to that towards the end, but I did want to say, have you ever dealt with some people who are very insecure inside of themselves, maybe sizing you up because of the way you look or some of the things that you choose to do? Maybe, your education, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you handle your things, how resilient you are. And I think that's a very important conversation to talk about people who are insecure, because when you are dealing with insecure people, what they want to do is make you feel insecure. They want you to be on their same level. And one thing that is important to all of you loved ones is don't let people who are insecure make you also feel insecure. And I have seen it many times from relatives, from friends, from all sorts of people, even people on social media. People who are insecure also have the assumption that you are also insecure, and that's not the truth. See, we talk about over here how we are worthy and we're capable and we're deserving. But for some of us, that's a little bit harder of a journey if you've had maybe parents or siblings or a romantic relationship or friends or people who were very insecure. And maybe you were looking at yourself inside and thinking, maybe I did something. And that is something that we each have to heal in at working on our inner child and not blaming ourselves because of people who are in our lives are also are insecure. We want to heal that because we don't want to give that maybe to our children or anybody that is in our life. We don't want to give that to children or friends or anybody else. What we want to do is to be respectful of how we feel and what we personally are going through. So that's what I wanted to say to all of you. This channel is about trauma healing. If you have ever been traumatized by relatives or friends or a romantic relationship or people in the workplace, you know how it feels when a person is very insecure. And usually, insecure people are also very judgmental because of that's an inner feeling. That's what they think about themselves. So they want you to feel the same way that they do. But that's one of the reasons why, like this topic talks about today, always bringing pain with their words. It's usually those same individuals that have never put in the work. They haven't put in the work as an adult to heal their inner child, to heal from what other people said. What they do is they take that pain, people who have projected their insecurities onto us. We also will, if you don't heal it and you don't check it, you will also be insecure in your romantic relationships. You will be insecure with friendships. You'll be insecure on social media. And that's nobody else's responsibility to fix that but you. And when I got on here on social media, I think social media has helped me to grow and to mature to be a better woman and not to go in the opposite direction. If you're not careful, people on social media and your relatives and other friends, hi, the ordinary, how are you? If you're not careful, you're going to have people like on social media or friends or in the workplace that will make you feel like something is wrong with you. And it's not. It's nothing wrong with us. It's just that some people don't work on themselves. They don't want to heal. They don't want to be a better person. Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hi, Random Post. How are you doing? Welcome in. And that is one thing that, as not just a woman, but as a mature woman, and also this applies to men as well, as a mature man, we have to do some of that work of unpacking some things that hurt us. And it takes a really mature woman or a really mature man to say, people hurt me when I was younger. Hi, Darlene. How are you doing? People hurt me when I was younger or recently, even in your adulthood. We have to unpack that and heal that so that we don't do the same hurtful and mean things to your children, to friends. And we do it unknowingly. I know I used to do it unknowingly because I grew up in that environment where it was the norm to scream. Like if you're upset, you screamed, you told people off, you had a temper tantrum, a meltdown. And when you get to be an adult, you realize that other people don't like it and don't take it, but you have to put in some work to change that. And that's what this channel talks about on a regular basis, is doing some of that inner work, some of that healing. And I understand that my channel is not for the mass population because not everybody wants to put in the work to heal. Not everybody wants to talk about the things that hurt them. I know when I started this channel, I didn't start off this channel wanting to actually talk about it. But for me, the more that I talk about things that happened to me, like being verbally abused or talked down to, hey, Real Odds and Evens, how are you doing? Welcome in. I know every time I unpack and I talk about people who hurt me or people who put me down or people who were very disrespectful, it makes me feel better about myself. And I no longer blame myself for other people's insecurities. And that was the first point, people who always bring pain with their words. And the first thing is that because they're insecure. The second point that we're going to talk about, people bring pain with their words when they have anger. And we all know that there's many reasons why we can be angry. You can be angry from, the way you were born, maybe having physical disabilities and things like that. But also, it is a lot of abuse that happens from childhood to adulthood and moving on in life. Life causes us to feel a certain way. And that's just the fact about it, is that we have to understand that nobody can make us happy. We have to put in the work to make ourselves happy. And I love that. I am so much happier since I have not allowed negativity from society, social media, my relatives, friends, whoever. We can't allow other people who don't know us, who don't care for us, who don't understand our situation to cause us to be unhappy. Now, that's something that I personally had to learn. I don't know about you. Like always say here, I don't know each of you individually, but one thing that I do know is that we're all human beings. We all have feelings, and people do things that causes us trauma. And I know that trauma is a very triggering word for some, but it's the truth. If something happened to you for your whole childhood, up until you're an adult, and then automatically when you become an adult, you're expected to be okay. You're expected to be right mentally. And how can we be? That's why it's important to have conversations in a safe space. And this most definitely is a safe space for us to have those conversations and to talk about all of the things that is important, because you're important and I am important as well. And if we have a community of people who have the mature conversations and we talk on things and we heal and we listen and we gain understanding about certain things, then we will affect the next generation of your kids, grandkids, aunts, uncles, cousins. Just happier adults make happier children and happier generations to come. So that's one of the reasons why I did this channel, is for that main reason, is that I wanted to create dropping those seeds of empowerment and letting us know that, okay, we don't have to put on this facade of fakeness. Real things happen. We get verbally abused, and it does things to us. It makes us feel certain way. I know when I was growing up and they would say things, scream things at you, tell you to shut up and you are stupid and you're foolish. I personally think back in the day, our elders, whether that be your parents or whoever raised you, didn't know that the way that you treat your children is going to affect them when they become older. And because they were insecure or because they were angry and had their own issues, they didn't have the coping skills. But today, we are empowered. Or aren't we, loved ones? We're empowered. We have so much. We have therapy, we have books, we have support groups. There's open conversations that we talk about our mental health and the things that we're dealing with, as we should. That is what you do when you are a mature woman or a mature man. You talk about it, you learn, you grow, so that you don't project those insecurities, that anger onto whoever comes into your life. And that's so important as women, as men, because happier men and women makes a happier society. And some people just don't understand that. When I see people out there, wherever they are, being angry, road rage, just being just a nasty individual. We know them in the workplace. Maybe sometimes they're your relatives, or maybe it's somebody that you're dating. They just have a lot of issues and they verbally attack us because they have not done any of the real inner work. They have not done any of the healing. And I just wanted to say to everybody that it's okay to do the work. It doesn't make you less of a woman. It doesn't make you less of a man. It just makes you a human being. And when I learned that for myself, it gave me the permission to say it's okay to work on myself. Like, I don't have to be, like I said, angry. You don't have to be insecure. You don't have to take it out on other people, because you work through it and you find out what is the reasons why I feel this way, and giving myself the permission to say, this is how I feel, and how I was treated was not right. So, to any of my loved ones, if maybe your parents or friends or romantic relationship, or maybe even people on social media, if they have said things that were very rude, immature, unkind, you really have to take people with a grain of salt. You can't change them. You can't make other people happy, but it still does not stop. Sometimes it hurts. It stings a little bit, but you can't let other people what they say be what you feed yourself on. You got to feed yourself with empowerment. And that's why, conversations like this are so important. If we don't talk about those empowering things, if we don't say this and this is rude, growing up, I believe that the older folks didn't know saying shut up or you're stupid or you never do anything right, that belittling thing, wagging their finger at you, telling you you don't do anything right, yelling and screaming and telling you all kinds of things and you'll never be anybody. All of those things, it causes you to have your guard up, and those things bring trust issues to us. At least I know for sure that it brought trust issues to me, because if you can't trust, whether your mom, your dad, auntie, uncle, cousin, whoever raised you, you go into maybe the school environment not trusting teachers and not trusting other adults. Or if it happened to you with an ex, somebody you're dating or someone you were married to, and if you don't heal that and unpack all of that, somebody was very verbally abusive to you and said rude things to you and was very disrespectful. You can ignore it if you want to, but ignoring it doesn't help you. Ignoring the pain does not heal it. What heals the pain is patience, talking about things, not to just every and anybody, but in safe environments. Like I always say, I am a big believer in support groups and talking to people about things, especially when it involves abuse. And abuse is not right. It doesn't matter who the person was. It could be from the parent to the workplace. All forms of verbal abuse are not okay. Hey, Miss Kim, how are you doing? Welcome. All forms of verbal abuse is not okay. None of it. And I know when I was growing up, I just felt like that was something normal. They used to say, oh, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't do anything right. And I know from the time I was a child, that chipped away at my self esteem for a long time. And by the time you get to be an adult, you have like zero self esteem. But one thing that we have to learn is that what when they yelled at us, that doesn't mean because they were the example of parents or whoever they were, it doesn't mean they were good examples. My therapist actually taught me that our relatives or friends or whoever they didn't love themselves. They were insecure, they were unhappy, and because of that, they wanted to make you unhappy. Sometimes not really because they wanted to, but because they didn't put in the work. They, people can only give you what they possess. And because they couldn't give themselves love, they didn't know love, thus they didn't give you love in the way that you deserve. But it doesn't mean that it's okay. Let's go to the next point. Always bringing pain into your life with their words, right? The third one is people who are usually slick with their mouth and saying rude things, they suffer from low self-esteem. Do you know some? I know when I was younger, I used to always wonder why they, the older generation didn't want you to dress a certain way or do certain things, because that's what they thought about themselves. They thought, well, I'm nothing and I can never do anything. They would put themselves down, maybe because maybe their parents or people around them told them those same things. They were verbally abused, so them in turn, they also verbally abuse us. and it's not okay, and I'm not excusing it. I'm just telling the truth. And it's important to have these conversations because when I started thinking about why did, my mother or my father, why did auntie, why did, my siblings, why did this person or that person in my life treat me that way? And it was a reflection. People mirror how they feel about you based on what they think about themselves. Hey, realist, how are you doing? Welcome in. That's what people do. They reflect their self esteem based on what they think about themselves. So, of course, a person who has low self esteem, and back in the day, people didn't even know what self esteem was. At least I know for sure that in my family, they didn't know anything about self esteem. It was just about being very controlling, very judgmental, very negative. And that's just the way that things were. Yeah, that's just the way things were back in the day. And I think that's something that is so important. Miss Kim says, your dress is lovely. The necklace, though, fire. I'm glad you're wearing it. Thank you so much, Miss Kim. I really appreciate it. So, this is important, everybody, for us to have these conversations about people who have low self esteem. And I'll tell you why. For it took me well into my, I want to say probably around the age of 27 before I thought anything about self esteem. Like, what is self esteem? I honestly thought self esteem was based on the people who loved you. And if you had people in your life that they loved you, then you could love yourself. I didn't know it was a personal thing that you had to do for yourself. So I want to give that charge to all of you to start thinking about some ways that you can treat yourself better, not because of how whoever treated you, not because of what other people think about you, not because of who likes you or who supports you, but what you personally think about yourself. Okay? That's important. I spent so many years crying and having depression, mental health issues, all because of the things that was said to me when I was younger. I did a lot of crying, a lot of, feeling sad, and feeling very insecure because insecurity breeds insecurity. And I felt like, why can't I get people to love me? Why don't people treat me good? And I was always waiting for them to treat me right. I was always waiting for people to be my friend. I didn't understand how important it was for me to personally learn how to treat myself. I had to treat myself with love. I had to be my own friend. I had to respect myself, that it wasn't anybody else's responsibility but mine. Oh man, that was like a weight off my back when I stopped waiting for a friend, or my siblings or my parents or my friends. Or this is a big one. Sometimes we are expecting for a romantic relationship to fill the void that happened from not getting love in our childhood. And nobody can can fill that void. We have to do that inner healing. I know that I had to take a break. I had to take a pause. I had to go to therapy. I had to work on me and forgiving other people that treated me like trash. That's a part of trauma healing, is not that we accept it when we say we forgive them, but we forgive them so we can live our life. We forgive them so we can have peace. We forgive them so that we can have everything that we deserve in our life and not stay in that state of doubting ourselves or having the insecurities that they projected onto us. Miss Kim says, I've always been confident, except when I started gaining weight after 40. I have to remind myself to love myself regardless of my circumstances. Yes. That's wonderful. Yes. Yeah. And that's a conversation that I think me and Miss Nexty we were gonna have on the sip and chat when we come back, probably sometime in January or February, learning to love yourself as you age, that you're gonna be different. But in getting back to the topic, I think that it's important, talking about always bringing pain with their words. Um, I was raised in my generation, and I am a Gen X. I was raised to that, children are seen and not heard. That, people who are adults, they can say or do anything you want to. It was kind of like a dictatorship. Kids didn't have any opinion, and any adult could say whatever they wanted to, and it was okay. And it's not. It was not okay, and it will never be okay. And that's something that I am very cognizant of in my adulthood, of treating people with respect, and but not willy-nilly, not like, oh, I'm just going to respect everybody, but I give people respect, regardless of their age. And that I listen to other people and I pause, but that took a lot of personal growth from myself, because what I used to be like, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody. And I had that complex because of the way other people treated me and walked over me. But my thing is, I trust people until they give me a reason not to. That really shows that I have healed as a woman, because before I used to be like, I don't trust nobody. I who are you? I used to have like come in with my the walls up. I'm waiting. What you gonna do next? Because I was like, I'm not letting people hurt me anymore. And if you don't work on healing your inner child, healing your past, healing what other people said, especially when it comes to people who are verbally abusive, and I want to say to all of my loved ones that when people said things to you, whatever they said, you were ugly, you were stupid, you were nothing, you don't do anything right, we cannot believe the words of people who are insecure. We can't believe the words of people who are angry or have low self esteem. We gotta push that to the background. And therapy really helped me with that, to get into the space of saying what other people think about me is none of my business. And it took me a while for me to actually take that and for that to sink into my brain, because I think I naturally was a very trusting person. And when people did things to me, I stopped trusting everybody. I was like, everybody, I'd be like, yeah, what you gonna do? What you gonna do to hurt me? How are you gonna stab me in the back? What mean thing will you do to me? It scars you. And if you're not careful, you will be a bitter woman or be a bitter man because of whoever and whatever they did to hurt you and bring you pain. Don't let a verbal abuse, don't let the words that people say be a reflection of what you think about yourself. And that's something that's easier said than done. It's easy to say, oh, I love myself, which, yeah, that's a nice thought to say you love yourself. But really, how do you feel about yourself? When it's hard times, do you think, oh, nobody loves me? And that's an easy thing to be in that position to say, nobody loves me, when you get treated with disrespect, when people backstab you, when people are insecure and angry and say mean things to you. It's very hurtful, especially when it comes from your own bloodline, when they say mean things. And um, the things that really hurt me when I was growing up is when people would say things behind your back, but then it gets back to you. So you know of all of those things that they said. They don't know that you know, but it doesn't stop it from hurting. It doesn't stop you from feeling some type of way. I just learned that I can't vibrate in a negative space. I can't grow. I can't be my best self if I listen to other people's opinions of me. And some people don't love me because they don't love themselves, or they don't want to. They just don't like you. And I had to learn to receive that. If a person is showing you that they don't care about you and they don't love you, you need to leave those people alone, regardless of who they are. It hurts to back away from relatives. It hurts to back away from people who are alleged friends, or people who claim to be, loving you in a romantic relationship, but all they're doing is bringing pain into your life. These are the people that you need to stay away from. When people are showing you who they are, it doesn't matter the words that are coming out of their mouth, talking about they love you, and they love you, but they're being verbally abusive, or they love you. They say they love you and they're being physically abusive, or they say they love you and they're manipulating you out of your money. Hey, can't stop. How are you doing? Miss Kim says, this is extremely important info. I'm sending this stream to someone who really needs to hear this. Thank you, Miss Kim. I appreciate it. How are you doing? So I wanted to say to all of you guys, I did that for many years, dealing with, years and years of my childhood, being told you're nothing, nobody's gonna like you, you're ugly, you're no good. Hi, John, how are you? You're no good, you're this, you're that, right? People who will be very disrespectful to you, very rude, very mean, very nasty, and say those things, and they laugh at you. People just say, oh, it's just a joke, you're being sensitive. No, it's not okay to make fun of people. It's not okay to berate people and to make people feel like nothing. That's not okay. It's never okay. And if you have people like that in your life that claim that they love you, but they keep being verbally abusive, shouting at you, calling you all kinds of derogatory terms, you got to stay away from those people. I don't care who they are, I don't care the attachment. Leave those people alone. I learned the hard way. I try my best, I try my best to be a good person, and I think that, I think I'm an okay person. I'm not a perfect person, nor do I claim to be, but at the same time, I know love now. Not I don't need love from other people for me to be okay, which I could not say a few years ago. I needed people to be around to be able to move and to feel like I was enough. No, but now, because I know self-love, I can recognize toxicity. I can recognize manipulation, and so should all of us. So much people, they say that those words, I love you, right? I love you, but at the same time, they love you, but they're backstabbing you. They say they love you, but they're being jealous of you. It's like they'll beat you up, beat you down, take everything you have, and then say they love you and don't understand why you don't love them back, or why you don't want to be around them. Some people, they really do need a therapist. They need a therapist. They need some help. They need to tap into some faith. They need to be doing some work on their inside. And I'm not here to tell anybody how to heal. The only thing that's important to me is that you do heal. All you ladies, all you gentlemen, all of my loved ones that are part of this channel, I want healing to take place in your life. Just like many years ago, I had an amazing therapist and a mentor that poured into me. She just said, Marlene, I just want you to be better. When I started therapy back in 2015, yeah, 2015, when I started therapy, I was a completely different person than I am right now. I was a very shy person. I was very insecure. I hated myself. And the thing about it is, I'm saying these things because I want anybody who's listening, maybe now, and they feel that same way about themselves. Well, people didn't love me, and people didn't treat me right, and people didn't do that. Right, exactly. I know that that happens. People will do things to you, people will hurt you. But the question is, but what am I doing to change and pivot that? What am I doing to work on me and to heal my own self and to not allow what other people's opinions of me and how they want to treat me be what I think about myself? And it does. It takes a lot of work to unpack that, especially when it has been maybe your parents or siblings or friends or maybe a romantic relationship, people that you really care about. And they say those words. There was a saying that they used to say when we were kids: sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That's not true. Words really do hurt. Words really do impact us. It does. When people say things that is so mean, that stays with you for years. And one thing that I had to learn when it came to people saying mean things to me, nasty things to me, that, okay, or are they saying this because they're trying to help me to grow? Or is it they're saying this to try to break me down, to make me feel bad about myself? So it's two categories. And when I learned that if it's to try to break me down, to step on me, to elevate themselves, then I just say, you got to push that person to the side. You got to give yourself some room from those individuals. And I got to go this way. I got to go the happy route, the healthy route. And some people don't want to heal. Some people don't want to make changes. um it's very sad to me that there are people that are in our lives that they just want to be miserable. They want to complain about every little thing. They want to blame everybody else for their problems when it's nobody else's responsibility that you had a messed up life. Many people have a messed up life. I had a messed up life, but I didn't allow that, my past, to define my present. Every day I wake up, and some days I feel it. I feel some of that abuse, that, oh, you know, oh, you're nothing. That never goes away, but you got to have things that you replace with that. Whenever I feel down like that and I feel like, oh, I can't do it, then I have to say, no, the adult Marlene is here. You can't let your inner child take over your present. You can't let your past, you can't let what other people say to you be what you say to yourself. See, I had to learn to make that noise, that those words in my head be what I believed, instead of what other people used to say to me to be what I believed to be true. Hi, Sirius. How are you doing? Welcome in. Um, don't forget to hit the like to the live stream and our host. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Kim. Miss Kim says, yes, you can't change other people. Only you can only change yourself and how you react to people, and how you have to remove yourself from them. That's such an important point, Miss Kim. Thank you so much for highlighting it. The only person that we can change is ourselves. And I have to tell you guys, in talking about people who are verbally abusive, and they just say, what they call, they said they have diarrhea of the mouth. They just say anything that they want to say. They don't care about that it hurts your feelings, that it's disrespectful. They don't care about any of those things. They want to say whatever they want to. And then they have the nerve to say that you are sensitive. Thank you so much for the gift, Sirius. I really appreciate it. And then they want to say that you're insensitive. We're not insensitive. You're not insensitive. You just don't take the toxicity. And I think that's what it is when you become a healed person. When I started working on becoming a healthier woman, like, and healthier in all aspects, but first starting with how people can approach me. Like not taking, you're not just going to talk to me any type of way. You're just not going to approach me with disrespect. You're not going to be unkind. You're not going to be rude. If you're angry and you want to scream and cuss and say all kinds of derogatory terms, you can keep that to yourself. I block those people now. I don't even give them a chance or an opportunity to continue. When they start off being rude and disrespectful, hold on there. No, nope, we're not doing that. It's like, try again. So with somebody else, but I'm not the one. You have to tell them that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true, Miss Kim. That's so true. So let's go on to, I think we're on point number 4. There we are. Always bringing pain with their words. Some people bring pain with their words because they want to feel powerful. you know do you know people like that? They say things, so, oh, you're nothing, and then that gives them like an ego boost, right? No. Some people only feel power by embarrassing other people, putting them down, highlighting their flaws before other people, and laughing. And they think that that's something funny. A person who does those things puts people down in order to make themselves appear to be, superior, is something really deranged with that individual. If you think that you have to put somebody down in order to feel good about yourself, it's something wrong with you. No, it's something wrong with them. And that was something that I had to heal after hearing that for so many years, like being around that, being in that environment. When I became an adult, I started to do it. And I didn't think it was a big deal. I just thought, like, oh, I'm just being sarcastic, but it's not. You never know what somebody is going through. You never know how a person, what weight a person may be carrying. So you just saying that one thing, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, look at you gained weight, or look at you, yeah. Oh, you're ugly. Oh, you're this. Oh, you never have anything. You never do anything right. Shouting those things, saying those things. You don't know if people are right on the edge of wanting to literally take their life. We don't know other people's situation. And I remember being in that space of wanting to take my life. I remember feeling that way, that I just wish I wouldn't wake up in the morning. I remember feeling that way so many times. But it was only when I stopped allowing other people to have my power, when I stopped saying that I want to end my life because of what other people feel. We can't allow ourselves to be unhappy because the people around us are unhappy. What we have to do is move ourselves from the negativity, from their judgments and their whatever they want to say, and you got to put yourself around a circle of some positive people, empower people, healthy minded people, encourage people who are doing something with their life, and not just people who are dependent on you. The ones that always have their hand out, wanting a handout, wanting to take from you, take from you, and at the same time being very abusive. I know is something that doesn't make sense. They depend on you, and at the same time they're very disrespectful. Make that make sense. It doesn't. How do you need people to help you, but you're yelling and angry and screaming and saying you don't do anything right? No, we're not doing that. You got to leave those people alone. It's not our responsibility to save other people. It's not your responsibility to be everybody's savior. It's not your responsibility to make other people happy. Trust me, I wore myself out to the ground. I tried with everything inside of me to make my parents happy, to make my siblings happy, to make my friends happy, to make the person I was in a romantic relationship at the time. I did everything to make them happy. And I had to realize I can't make you happy. I can't make you grow up. I can't make you work on your past issues. That's not my problem. So I really had to learn to stop picking up projects, and like people call build a bear. That's what I was doing. Unknowingly I was always trying to fix people, change them, because there's a thing, like when you become happier, when you love yourself, it's natural that you want other people around you to also be happy. And I wanted that with all my heart, because I was working on myself and I was happy. I was eating better. I was exercising. I went back to school. I started a new career. I was working on me. I was putting in the work, and definitely wasn't easy. I did a lot of crying in that time in my life because I was very lonely. Because when you start doing better for yourself, people are going to start dropping off of your life. It's just the truth. And yes, Miss Kim. Yeah, hallelujah. Um, Yes, find a new crowd. And that's so hard. I never have understood why, when you start to improve your life and make changes and you're happier, you're healthier, you lose weight, you're taking care of yourself, you get have a good relationship and things like that. When you are working on yourself, people don't want to be around you anymore because they can't pull the same shenanigans that they used to pull before. You know, uh, the maybe you enabled them, maybe you gave them money, maybe you let them disrespect you, you let them get away with too much. And now that you have been introduced to empowerment and self-love, self-respect, you're not going to take the crumbs. People want to give you breadcrumbs, but they want you to give them stacks. You know, they want you to give them so much, but they're not going to give you anything. No, it don't work that way. That's why people get mad. Hmm. Um, John says, exactly. Thank you so much for your comments, everybody. Realist says, especially if they're not trying to reciprocate. And that's a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be around people if they don't want to reciprocate, if they don't want to give back, if they don't want to support. And I mean in a healthy way. I don't just mean they're around, because that's another thing that I had to learn. Just being in a relationship, just having people around, filling a space, doesn't mean they should be there. Some people are just not good for us. They're not good for your mental health. They're not good for your financial health. They're not good for your physical health. They bring you down. They embarrass you. They're very disrespectful. They bring drama into your life. I could do a whole TED talk about people who are just bring drama. And they do, and they bring drama and more drama, and they're always complaining, but they're not doing anything to change their life. And we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Sometimes the season ends with dealing with those people. It's like you love them, but at the same time, they're causing you to not love yourself to your fullest potential. They're affecting your mental health and bringing you down. So you got to leave them alone. Miss Kim says, Marlene, if my husband has a bad day and then he wants to take it out his frustration on me, when I hear it coming, I throw my hand up and say, nope, and walk away. That way I don't feel bad arguing. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to be, Miss Kim. That's a good way to be. One thing that I learned a long time ago is that when my relatives or whoever, if they call upset, I start the beginning of the conversation asking what they want. Sometimes when we're talking to somebody, the automatic assumption is that they want you to give them a solution. You want to give them help. And other times we don't understand that sometimes people just want to vent, and they're not mad with you. They just got to blow off some steam. So one thing my therapist taught me is, when you're having a conversation with somebody and they start off and they're angry, ask them, do you just need to blow off some steam, or are you projecting your anger onto me? And do you want a solution? Do you want me to help you? Or are you just venting right now? That really has been monumental in helping my relationships, because sometimes it's not about helping them find an answer. Sometimes they just need to get out whatever it is that they're going through, and you just need to be a listening ear. Miss Kim says, to add to what Realist said so well, it helped me when I realized that I shouldn't expect others to reciprocate and not get angry about it. Just learn and know who you're dealing with. Yeah, you got to know. And that's why now I'm at a space in my womanhood that I know when that's not me. I didn't do anything. I know when a person's projecting, and I won't say anything. I'll just let them go at it, just talking and talking and talking and talking. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll listen to you, but if I know I didn't do anything to make you upset, it's like don't come at me like that. Like, no, we're not doing that. Okay. That's good. I will remember to ask that question. Do you want to vent or do you want to vent or do you want a solution? That's that's my wonderful therapist, Dr. Kathleen, taught me that. Do you want to vent or do you want a solution? Yeah, that has really saved many of my relationships. Many of my relationships, because a lot of times people just want to vent and they don't want a solution. So don't get your wheels turning for no reason, okay? Hi Sean, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so let's get to this point. Point number 5. Some people, they are always bringing pain with their words because they have they are hurt. They are hurt themselves. Do you know people who are just hurt? I have known individuals in my life from childhood that they have had a really screwed up life, verbally, emotionally, financially, spiritually abusive, very disrespectful, very unkind. And they just, because they are hurt themselves, that all they know, because they are hurt, all they know is how to hurt you. What does the saying go? Hurt people hurt people. But you're like, I'm not the one, I'm not the two, I'm not the three either, right? Don't let people hurt you because they are hurt themselves. You have to see people for who they are, and you have to identify, is this a person that I want in my life? Like, am I growing in this relationship? That really helped me in when I started to work on myself. Some people, we allow them to be in our lives, and they don't deserve to be there. They're not working for the relationship. Some people are just there because you allow them to be there. They're not giving, they're not pouring into you. They're not supportive of your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical health. Actually, they move it in another direction. They're moving you to, like, literally lose your mind and go crazy because of the drama and the negativity and the judgment, and because of their anger, and they won't even work on themselves. Sean says, my life has been crazy, and these ninjas ask me how I'm still smiling. I can't even answer their question. Yeah, as you shouldn't. It's not your responsibility to, you don't have to explain yourself when you're an adult. You're a whole grown man, or you're a whole grown woman. And that's something that I had to school some of my relatives on that as well. Like, you're not dealing with a little girl. I'm not a little girl. Even though you knew me as a little girl, I'm all the way grown over here. And especially, I'm not just grown in chronological age. I am grown in my mentality now. I have a growth mindset now in more things than one, not just when it comes to the way that your people will deal with me. No, you will respect me, or you're going to get cut off. You're going to get blocked. And I mean that. I said, I put that on everything. It's like, don't come at me like that. Don't even try it. And when you start to pivot that and people realize that there's standards, that there's boundaries, no, you're not going to scream and yell. Whatever you're going through, you need to work on yourself and make yourself happy, but you're not going to come over and disturb my peace. Don't let people bring their dark cloud and drop it. People will project their fears, their insecurities, and they will want you to fix their life. They'll want you to have like pivot all of your positivity, all the good things that you're doing, having your finances together. They want to have your life. They want you to take your life, cookie cutter, and deposit it in their life. But they're not willing to do the work. They haven't grown up. They haven't healed. They haven't put in the work. But it's not your job. It's not your job to make other people happy. It's not your job to fix people's insecurities. Everybody, as a woman or a man, they have to do that for themselves. You got to do it for you. And I want to speak to all of my ladies and gentlemen, all my loved ones over here, that if you've had people and they've been verbally abusive to you and disrespectful, forgive them. Forgive them. And I know that that's not an easy thing. I spent so many years laying on that couch talking to my therapist about so much stuff that happened from my childhood until, just a few years ago. And she helped me to come to that space that if you are harboring resentment, anger, whatever, trying to get back at people, you want some revenge. And that's a normal thing. When people do things, you want to get back at them, but you don't get power. You don't get to achieve and elevate and grow, staying in the back, staying in the past, lowering your vibration. You don't grow that way. So let them go. Let them do what they're going to do, and you do what you want to do. You keep elevating. My dad used to always tell me that, God rest his soul. My dad always said that don't let people who are down there bring you down. Don't lower your standards. Don't lower your morals. Don't lower your worth. Don't lower yourself to make other people happy. Don't let them drag you down. You got to know who you are first. You got to know you're worth it. Some people don't even know who they are, what they're capable of. They're miserable. Let them stay in that miserable state. And you just keep being happy. And when I started working on that, little by little, unpacking it, one thing at a time, this issue, that issue, and forgiving those people, my health improved, my weight improved, my business improved, my mindset improved. Everything improves when you let people be themselves and you let yourself be yourself, okay? Let people be who they are and you keep being who you are. Don't let hurt people bring you down, okay? Let's get to point number 6. We got one more point after this, everybody. So, always bringing pain with their words. Point number 6, people will do that because they have poor coping skills, poor coping mechanisms, right? They don't have no coping skills. Some people, like every little thing that happens, they fall apart. One little thing happens, they're screaming and cussing, like the vein is pulsing in their head, like they go completely, like, what do they call, they crash out. It's like every little thing they crash out. They have very poor coping skills because they haven't done any of the inner work. And it's not our problem to fix them. It's not your problem to make them happy. But just knowing that, yeah, they got some poor coping skills. And it's not your problem to give them better coping skills. but what matters is, do you have coping skills? And I had to learn how to, take a deep breath sometimes. I had to learn that, like, okay. And I had to remind myself, not my problem, that's their problem. Stop picking up your relatives or your friends or your ex or your whoever. Stop picking up other people's problems. Don't pick up their problems. Work on yourself. That's very important. And we're here at the last point, and then I'm going to go through a few things and we'll get out of here. So, always bringing pain with their words. I saved the best for last, everybody. People bring pain with their words because of a projection. They are deflecting their own issues. You ever hear people, oh, I tried that and that didn't work. So if you want to do that, that'll never work out. That business won't work out. That relationship won't work out. Oh, I tried to go to a therapist. Therapists don't work. Don't let people deflect their own issues. When I went to two therapists. The first time I said that same thing. Oh, I went to a therapist and it didn't work. You know why it didn't work the first time? Because I didn't want to change. Because I didn't want to apply what I needed to. I didn't want to do the work. So of course things won't work until you put in the work, until you do the healing. And nobody can't make you heal. Nobody can't make you heal. Nobody can't make you happy. Nobody can't make you love yourself. You have to do that for yourself. And I spent a lot of tears to get to this space to say, I love myself. And I wish that for every one of you. I hope that, I pray that for every single one of you, that you come to that space in your life, that you love yourself despite what you've been through, despite what other people have said and done, that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm enough. Yeah, with all my flaws, I'm still a good person. Okay? Loving yourself despite what they think, despite what they have done, you know, it's hard and it takes courage. It takes courage as a woman, it takes courage as a man to say, I am not my past. I am my present. I am who I am today because of what I've been through, because of my trials, because of my storms, because of what other people did. We don't understand how strong we are until we go through the storm, until you go through the fire. And I'm proud of every single one of my loved ones for your resilience, for your courage that it takes. So, don't let other people deflect their own issues. Give them back their problems. Tell it's not worth it. Don't let other people make you unhappy, okay? And I got three sub points, and then we're gonna get out of here. So, um, people always bring pain with their words, and it stems from unresolved trauma. So many people, they got trauma. I have trauma. I know many who are listening today that you guys have had some trauma, but unresolved trauma, it doesn't mean that you can never resolve it, and I'm proof of that. All the things that happened to me from my past, verbal, emotional, physical, um, just so many other issues of trauma that happened in my life. I heal from it because I gave myself the permission to heal. And it's a choice. You can heal when you say, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to complain. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to get even. I don't want no revenge. I just want to love myself. I want peace in my life. And I want the people that are in my life to be people who pour back into me. If they don't pour back into me, they can't be a part of my life and make excuses for their actions, okay? And another sub point is that they lack maturity. Do you know those individuals? I know, I sure do. That they say things out of their mouth because they're very immature, and people will say, "Oh, I'm grown," but they sure don't act grown. They act like a little kid. They act their shoe size and not They're in a mature way, you know. Mature people know when to be quiet. Mature people know how to be a good listener. Mature people know how to not be selfish. And I by no way am a what you call a perfect person, but one thing that I do know how to be a good listener. And why do I know how to be a good listener? Because I learned how to listen in therapy. I learned how to be a friend to myself. I learned to care for myself. I learned when I need a break and I need to be working on me, you know. But that's everybody. Everybody's not the same. Yes, yeah, your shoe size. Yeah, that is Prince. Yep. And we have one last point. And for me, this is the saddest thing. Why people they bring pain with their words is because they lack self love. You would be surprised how much people don't love themselves. Walking around out of millions of people, billions of people, there's so many people that don't love themselves. And that makes me feel so sad. But we can't fix other people. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility to fix parents and siblings and friends and romantic relationship. That's not your responsibility. They need to come healed and correct and doing the right thing. They have to make good choices. They have to be a friend to themselves before they can be a friend to you. Okay? Yep. So thank you guys so much for your support. I am Love Marlene 411, your channel for trauma healing. We talk about all of the trauma healing stuff over here, healing from your inner child, from all forms of abuse, emotional, verbal, sexual, all kinds. We talk about it over here. And on Thursdays, with my co-host Miss Nexie, not this Thursday, I think, because of New Year's Day, but after that, the Thursday after that, we're gonna come back, circle back, and we'll have the sip and chat going. That's Thursdays at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go into some topics. Miss Nexie is more aggressive, and I think I'm more um, I would say passive. I think I'm more passive when it comes to that. But but you guys tune into Sip and Chat and make your own conclusion. I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation, and I hope that you guys come to a space of not letting your past, people who are verbally abusive and said mean, rude, nasty things to you, don't believe it. You know, you got to write those things down. What I think about me, that's the important thing. And what other people think about me is none of my business. I used to write that down until one day that stuck. And I believed in myself. I wish you a happy healing journey. I wish you love. I wish you inner peace. And for all the relationships that you have moving forward, for it to be healthy, positive, and encouraging. I I hope you will heal yourself so that you can be a good role model for your children and for the next generation. And then when we have happy, healthy adults that are mature, we also produce happy, healthy children and communities and happy people. I wish you guys love and peace always. I'm Love Marlene 411, your channel for trauma healing. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to the channel members. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you see somebody in blue and they are a content creator, go check out their content. Miss Kim's Bling Bar, a realist one here. They're not in here today, but Nate the Great Podcast 2.0, Gio's Vlogs, H-Town, Boss Life Online, Lisa J. Stocks, Thrive and Glow with Joe. I got a lot of amazing mods that have great content, but also shout out to my supporters that are not content creators. Sirius S. a Virgo from Georgia, Manifest Reality, James Wilson. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel and supporting me. I thank you guys so much, and happy healing journey until next week, Sunday, and another From My Heart to Your episode. I wish you love. Peace, guys.